see, okay, so we're a little different in that. I'm a totally in the box producer.
Okay.
But you know, that's one thing I noticed about your studio, and that kind of brings me to my next question. As far as mastering, you know, there's a lot of online services where you can just send your work in, have it mastered within a couple minutes. You know, an algorithm kind of does it. But see, you're crafting a mix. Could you just talk about some of the benefits of, you know, although those can be good, what are some of the benefits of working with a mixing and mastering engineer, actual person?
Yeah, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, the computers, the plugins, the online sites, I mean, they really do make things sound, I would say they make it sound better. They don't make it sound great. I mean, the amount of decisions, I mean, it's taken me 21 years to get to the point where maybe 2 years ago, I actually felt like I was good at mastering. Like I could take your mix, hear what is wrong with it, frequency wise, fix it, and then make it really, truly better. And I think that is the biggest thing I find is, you know, like for me, I envy producers because I listen to the beats that, you know, somebody maybe who's only been producing for a few years will make, and I'm like, oh, that would take me days and it wouldn't even be as good. Like, it's just not one of those things that I'm amazing at. Same thing with recording. Like, I'm good at recording. I did it for 15 years, but it was kind of like always just like throw some mics on there and kind of fix it later. But working with somebody who has done this for a while, like will take your song and hear that it has, number one, a good potential. So if you're actually really good at rapping, singing, playing guitar, whatever it is, and it's actually a good song, then any mixing engineer who has a good amount of experience really can elevate it. No matter what, I always say you can do it like at least 10, 15% better with a good mixing engineer, minimum. And, you know, that kind of is based on how well it's recorded, how well it's been produced. And then when it comes to mastering, it's probably less than that. But what has been this phenomenon during COVID is, you know, so many people are recording at home, mixing at home. And, you know, let's be honest, they're not the most ideal environments. And so when I get that mix, like I probably now with all the crazy plugins and gear that I have, I can probably make your mix 10, 15% better just in mastering. Like the Ozone stuff, the, what is it? Ozone, the advanced.
Sure, yeah.
That some of the stuff, the music rebalancing and stuff you can do in there is crazy.
It's funny you say that. I just, I was using Ozone 6 for like years, and I just last week upgraded to 9. So I'm learning and kind of tweaking with that. And it's crazy now. It really is, you know, crazy. I want to double back to you, because you brought up COVID and you mentioned that. And I really wanted to ask you as well, how have you been doing? How is your family doing during this time period?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I made the switch like maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I'd done 15 years of recording, 15 years of bringing people into the studio. And that was my 100%, that was my only form of income. I realized, like I was saying, that I didn't love the recording part as much. Like I couldn't wait to get to the production, the mixing. So I just kind of like slowly started to tell my clients, hey, listen, I will help you get a recording set up so that you can record at home whenever you want. Send me the tracks, the mix. So pre-COVID, I mean, I was 95% online regardless. So, you know, then COVID hit and I really thought things would go down. You know, people would be strapped for cash. They wouldn't want to be working on music. But it was, honestly, I've never had a better year ever. I mean, there was just so much creativity. So many people were willing to work on music. And I try to do things at a very fair rate. So maybe that kind of helped. Also, my wife works from home. She's about 20 feet over there.
That way. Awesome.
So we both work from home. So, you know, we had a very, very different experience than most people had. And, you know, everyone around me I saw, you know, really struggled. And I tried to help out people as much as possible. Did a lot of like mix reviews with mastering, like really just trying to help people work at home and do as much as they can. But yeah, I studio's doing great. Like I was saying, I've actually never had a better year, which is so strange. Like, who would have thought that, last year would have been a great year? But I think the push for online is clearly the future.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. I love having people come into my studio. It's just, maybe after 15 years of working with young kids who didn't show up, no calls, no shows, ran an hour late, totally unprepared, kind of killed a little of that for me. And I just clearly have this passion for the mixing and the mastering. And everyone needs to be good at something, right?
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought out that point, because it's going to kind of take me to my next question, but something I wanted to bring out, for all those artists, producers, especially specifically artists in this case, like you said, we're recording, always come to the studio ready. If you're recording, if you can get there 10, 15 minutes early, have everything ready to go, because, it's always about professionalism, and that really bleeds over into your work, and it's noticed, people notice it. So with that said, you talked about some of the challenges, the recording aspect of it. What have been some challenges throughout your career that you've had to really overcome to get to where you're at now?
Well, probably the number one has always been money. I mean, when I finally moved out of my parents' house, which is where I had the studio for like probably the first 10 years, I rented a 3-bedroom house by myself, and the studio was really my only form of income. So, you had the great days, you had the great weeks, the great months, and then you had the terrible months. And, I'd cut off my internet and TV and just to be able to pay the bills. So that's always been one thing. The other thing is, because I didn't go to school for this, I never worked in another studio. I mean, I have to do everything. I mean, you're talking about finances, booking, scheduling, doing all the recording, the mixing, providing the gear, talking with the clients. Sometimes it is crazy stressful. I mean, wondering where that next dollar is going to come from. Are you going to be able to pay the bills? Like, I don't have a retirement plan. What happens if that mic breaks? There's just so many things to think about, and also being online like I am totally now. It's all the promotion, posting every single day, coming up with the YouTube videos, the content, the pictures, the video, what I'm going to talk about. I mean, there's just like an endless amount of things. But after been doing this for long enough, you kind of like, you get into a habit, you get into a flow, you get into a routine where you can get all this stuff scheduled out, it works out, you have a process, you know how to talk to clients, and eventually it just becomes easier. I mean, I still stress about money every day. I always wonder what happens, like if I'm in a car and it backfires and it blows out my eardrum, or, and I get sick, I have bad allergies, it clogs up my ears. Like, there's just always, there's so much to worry about. I mean, but I don't know. I always, maybe like 7-8 years ago, I kind of did the whole like watch inspirational videos online and like, try to find a way to make your days a little bit more positive and try to focus less on the negative stuff. So now I just really try to, things happen, bad things happen all the time, but you just remember those bad times and all the good times seem really good. So